Our intention, our vision is that everybody sees the same thing. And especially for the battery, yeah. You can upgrade even what your battery does or what your engine does.
What is it in the kind of SDV space that you're kind of excited about?
It's not only a technology shift, like what we have seen before, it's now really a transformation of the ecosystem.
So I'm delighted to be joined in our mobile studio podcast on the road with the Drivetime podcast here at Move by Christiane Soppa, who is the head of sales for mobility and logistics for Bosch. Christiane, welcome.
Thanks for having me. It's really exciting to be here.
It's brilliant. This is such an international crowd. It's brilliant. I can hear you're obviously not UK from by birth, but it's great. So did you fly in to join here or do you?
Yes. I'm originally from Germany, where the Bosch headquarters is. So yeah, I flew in this morning. Yeah. But it's a very nice crowd and a very nice environment.
It's a brilliant place. I love it. So just talk a little bit about Bosch. You're a really interesting sort of intersection of the industry. You provide an awful lot of equipment for the OEMs anyway, but now as technology advances, so has your sort of product range. So I'd love to kind of know a little bit about the area of Bosch that you work in and then why you're here at Move and what you're speaking about.
You said right, Bosch is the biggest automotive supplier in the world, right? We are among the top 3. And a lot of people know us from delivering parts and technology solutions, hardware and software to the OEM world. But we are also one of the largest aftermarket network, right? The Bosch car service network is one of the largest networks existing in the world. So we have this huge knowledge coming from the OEM to the aftermarket. And traditionally, the fleet sits in between, right? And that's where I'm working in. So I'm heading sales and business development for fleets, bringing the OEM world and the aftermarket world together and build this ecosystem, which is needed to succeed and bring these players together.
Fantastic. So how long have you been at Bosch? How did you end up in automotive?
Oh, yeah. Being in Bosch is everything under 10 years doesn't count. So I nearly hit now the 18 years in Bosch, right? And I started as a management trainee, went through different stations. I worked a few months here in the UK, actually. That's where I won my very early years. I worked in the aftermarket for 10 years in several places in Europe. I spent 2 years in China. And I would say roughly about 8 to 10 years, I really dived into the software and service business, looking for fleets, what fleets might need, what does the fleet customer need for the OEM, and really connect those two worlds, fleet operators with the OEM and the aftermarket.
So just explain to me then the problems, I suppose, the use cases that you're working in, the problems that you're solving. You mentioned about bringing fleet together with OEMs and aftermarket. Just expand on that so that I can really understand kind of the work that you're doing and how that all connects up.
So fleets are normally cross-brand, right? They don't only work with one brand, so they work with all the OEMs. And eventually they would need services and data from all the OEMs. And that's where we come in. We know all the OEMs. We supply parts and software to them. So what we do, we translate everything from the different OEMs to the fleets. And now stepping into the area of software-defined vehicles, software-defined mobility, or as we say here, software-defined fleets, which we eventually have now. It's really to get this data from the OEMs, put this together, right? Mix it up and make it actionable insights of it, right?
Yeah.
It's like we have all the ingredients out there, but having the ingredients, which is basically data, is not enough, right? It's like being in a good kitchen. You can have the best ingredients. If you cannot cook, it doesn't taste good.
No.
And that's exactly with software-defined vehicles. We have the ingredients, and then what we do is we take this data, connect it within an ecosystem, and make actionable data insights out of it. We do that for EVs, right? A key thing of the EV is the battery health. When it's the right time to sell an EV, when you rather keep it in the fleet. So we monitor the battery, but we not only monitor it, we predict what's going to happen with that EV if you use it as you used it. Same thing with predictive maintenance, very important in the truck business, but also in the passenger car business. We don't only monitor, we will tell you based on AI algorithms what exactly happens with that truck if you use it like this, or when it's a good time to replace a part, or if it's a good time not to replace a part, when it's a good time to go to the workshop, or you still have another 2 weeks to go with. And it's about this, not only monitoring, it's about predicting. Another use case we really work on, it goes more into the rental space, is to come up with actionable insights if something already happened, right? Rental car users, they don't know how to drive. If you come from Europe to the UK, first thing you have to do in Heathrow, you have to drive on the other side of the road, right? That's where so many accidents happen. I think all my US and European colleagues can relate to that. That's one of the biggest challenges. And you just could put their money in there. If you have a repair job just out of Heathrow, you're going to be in good business, right? So basically, if an accident happens, to say, is it really an accident or is it a damage, and what to do with that, right? To make this entire process transparent.
So predictive maintenance, I think, is really, particularly with, we mentioned fleets, truck and van fleets, uptime is critical. So you don't want to wait for something to break and then have a vehicle off the road. It's really important that vehicle is operating at the optimum way for as much as it can be. So that's really exciting. So predictive maintenance, making sure that you kind of know when something is and you get it in time to repair only the thing that needs to be repaired rather than it breaking. And then the other thing, uptime and making sure that vehicles are kind of on the road and we're optimizing, how they perform, and like battery health is another thing. In terms of battery health, Christiane, is that data then kind of collected and passed on? So we often hear that consumers are probably nervous about buying a used EV because there's this perception that battery health might be degraded. Does that data then kind of follow the car wherever the car goes? Is that data available?
Exactly. So for us, it's being Bosch. For us, it's all about trust and greater transparency, right? You have an asset which is used, and our intention, our vision is that everybody sees the same thing. And especially for the battery, people are hesitant to buy a used EV because before, with an ICE, you can just look into, you measure, and with mileage, and you can relate what the quality of the car is. With the battery, you cannot do that anymore, right? So it's about to create this transparency. And what we do is very basic. You monitor the vehicle for a certain time, and then you do a battery certificate, right? Which is then available to everybody. So if a user comes, it's a connected car, you can say, hey, I want to see the certificate. And then you have the certificate. And not only, and you have at any point, you can check how the vehicle is doing, right? But the next step is, this is the monitoring part. But actually the next step is, if you have then this car, to really predict how it's going to evolve. Because measuring it, everybody can do that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of players out there who can do that. But the beauty actually in AI and software-driven mobility lies in that you can predict what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's the real excitement we all also see now in the industry.
Yeah, it's a huge sort of opportunity about, I suppose, peace of mind for consumers, and you can start to understand how behaviour will impact what will happen with the vehicle. So thinking, you were speaking today at the event. What are you covering in your keynote today?
I've been in a very interesting panel together with the CCC Consortium, the CEO of Mobility Sites Connect, Motability and Enterprise. And I think there you have the fleet. Enterprise is obviously the biggest fleet in the world, right? With a bit more than 2 million cars. Motability, one of the key operators here in the UK. You have Mobility Sites from Stellantis, which is one of the key OEMs, and us. And I think you see here software-defined fleets or mobility. It's not only about the asset anymore, right? It's not only a technology shift, like what we have seen before. It's not really a transformation of the ecosystem. So different partners have to work together in order to make this happen, right? You need the OEM. The OEM will provide the data. They will have the insights. They still build the car, and they bring the data. You have the enterprise like a fleet who consumes that data. Same then the fleet operator. And it comes Bosch like a tier one in it to interpret that data and make actionable insights out of it. Yeah.
Partnerships are going to be sort of increasingly critical, aren't they, for the industry? Because evolution is happening so fast now. Actually, you have to if you can do your thing really well and share that with other suppliers, we are going to become sort of quite collaborative rather than having to be all multifunctional. I think otherwise we're never going to be able to innovate quickly enough. So you mentioned sort of software-defined vehicles, Christiane. What is it in the kind of SDV space that you're kind of excited about?
I think the excitement is about, you compare it to your mobile phone, right? Everybody of us is more or less the same iPhone, right? But your phone will look completely different than mine, right? You have completely different apps. You use it for completely different use cases. Maybe the only thing we share is probably we actually call somebody, right? And that's how cars will be as well, right? You will have a car, but your car, and you buy exactly the same thing, will do completely different things than mine. And if you resell it, it's basically like a phone, right? You can adjust it, you can personalize it. And this is going to happen so far. And I think that's the really excitement, that a car it's a platform now with software on it. And the software you can change anytime. So we sometimes even discuss, right? So if you have a car now with a certain value, and in 5 years you can upgrade it. So we always think residual value goes down. But I think we could even think of which kind of software do I have to deploy that the value actually goes up, right? And I think that's the real excitement which comes with software-defined vehicles and eventually software-defined mobility, right? That really excites me. And being part of this transition, being really in that time when this is now happening, I think that's really cool.
I think just in terms of software-defined mobility, what can we expect to see in that space thing? Because I think that's quite new for a lot of the audience that we speak to. And what does that mean, software-defined mobility? Does it mean you can use all of your apps interoperably across? Because I think that's a space that I'm not that familiar with.
I think eventually, yes. Imagine you have your car. I will not name any brand now. So you have your car, and there you have your everything set up. You come to a different country, you go to a car rental operator, and you say, "Hey, here I'm Miss Miller," and the car exactly looks the same thing, does the same thing. The car already knows your preferred heating, your preferred seating, whatever, your preferred radio stations, or whatever you use, right? And that's what I see is already there, which is already possible. So you can really personalize the car, and you can take your driver profile from one car to another, right? Looking from an operator perspective, he has one car and he can tell person A, you're allowed to drive 120 on the German Autobahn, right? And there is customer B, and for any reason he can drive unlimited, whatever, right? And there are completely new business models which can be created on that, right? So I think that's really the biggest difference.
Okay, that's incredible. I love the idea that if you can do a hard reset on a car if you when you set it on.
And I think this is really disruptive, right? So we have to go away from these patterns in if the car mechanically, and we can keep that in shape, right? You can replace all the parts, not a problem, right? But if you see it as a software-defined vehicle, you can actually upgrade it, right? What about in the future? You can upgrade even what your battery does or what your engine does, right?
Yeah.
And technically, the technology is there. I think it's now on us to build the business models around it and the ecosystem around it.
Yeah. That is amazing. We've seen like features over the air being released already, and you can do my car updates the software on itself without me having to do anything apart from just clicking yes when I get in the screen. So it does, and then the whole UI will change. And I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't know it could do that. But it's no different to a phone. When it gets a software upgrade, it's going to get the latest version of the operating system to allow you to do it. But you can then subscribe to other services, can't you, within your vehicle? It's just going to become more and more possible. So thinking about the roadmap then for Bosch over the next 12 to 18 months and what you're focusing on, what are you working towards next?
For us, the next big thing is really to work on the predictive maintenance, right? To see how the car or the truck, whatever it is, how is it developing, and to make sure that whoever is using it gets the best out of it, right? Is it to reduce downtime, to schedule maintenance, to improve your ROI, whatever it's depending on?
Yeah.
Plus, on the other hand, is to create this full transparency to everybody, right? If it's the battery certificate, if it's a vehicle health certificate, where you can monitor even more than just the battery itself, or if it to get the entire history of a of a damage, or if somebody smoked in the car, to really see what happened with my asset, right?
Yeah, that's really, really exciting. Christiane, thank you so much for coming and joining me on the podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I know obviously everyone is super busy here as well. So it's been really good to try and get some time with you. And hopefully we'll see more of what Bosch are doing in the coming years. I think we just need to do more education around software-defined vehicles more broadly, just to help retailers, help consumers kind of make these better decisions. I think consumers are probably more informed than retailers in some cases, because there's sort of more coming at us, isn't there? So it's been great. So yeah, enjoy the rest of the show and enjoy the rest of the event here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I'm looking forward to see more from you.